So someone may ask the question and say, what about if I was married to more than one wife? Is each one of them going to get a quarter, or are they going to share the quarter? Or is each one of them going to get 1/8 if I had a child, or they are going to share the 8? So if you have multiple wives, they will either
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ولكم نصف ما ترك أزواجكم إن لم يكن لهن ولد فإن كان لهن ولد فلكم الربع مما تركن من بعد وصية يوصين بها أو دين ولهن الربع مما تركتم إن لم يكن لكم ولد فإن كان لكم ولد فلهن الثمن مما تركتم من بعد وصية توصون بها أو دين وإن كان رجل يورث كلالة أو امرأة وله أخ أو أخت فلكل واحد منهما السدس فإن كانوا أكثر من ذلك فهم شركاء في الثلث من بعد وصية يوصى بها أو دين غير مضار وصية من الله والله عليم حليم. تلك حدود الله ومن يطع الله ورسوله يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وذلك الفوز العظيم. ومن يعص الله ورسوله ويتعد حدوده يدخله نارا خالدا فيها وله عذاب مهين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I would like to welcome you to our Fajr reflection. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you greatly for waking up this early in the morning. And even though Salat al-Isha itself was quite late, and now Salat al-Fajr is getting earlier and earlier, but alhamdulillah, you are still very committed to waking up, to coming to Salat al-Fajr, and then sitting down for the Fajr reflection. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from you. Say Ameen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite us in Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la the same way that He has united us in the Masjid. Allahumma Ameen. And dear brothers, we are continuing with the technical verses regarding the laws of inheritance in Surah An-Nisa. And this morning, inshallah ta'ala, we have an appointment with the second ayah that deals with the laws of inheritance. Yesterday we have mentioned there are 3 verses in Surah An-Nisa that deal with the majority of the laws regarding inheritance. The first ayah is the 11th ayah, يُوصِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ. The second ayah is وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ, the ayah that we have an appointment with today. And the third ayah is the last ayah of Surah An-Nisa. يَسْتَفْتُونَكَ قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ فِي الْكَلَالَةِ يستفتونك في النساء قل الله يفتيكم في الكلالة أو يستفتونك قل الله يفتيكم في الكلالة إن امرؤ هلك ليس له. The last ayah of Surah An-Nisa. So this morning inshallah ta'ala we are going to look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said regarding the portions that will be given, for example, to the husband if his wife dies, or for example if the husband dies, what will the wife is going to get, and so forth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in this long ayah, وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ. Your share of your wife's estate is a half. Imagine someone who was married, a brother who was married to his wife. The wife has passed away, and the wife did not have any children at all. She didn't have any kids with him, neither did she have any children with someone else. So when she passes away, the money that she leaves behind, how much is the husband going to get? Half of her wealth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, your share of your wife's estate is a half. If they leave no child, but if they leave a child, you have a fourth. As a husband, you will get a quarter after payment of bequests and debts. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is going to talk about the wives and what they will get if their husbands die. If the husband, for example, dies, their share of your estate is a fourth if you leave no child. So if the husband has got no children at all with this wife or with the previous wife, so he's got no children at all, so what will the wife get? She's going to get a fourth. But if you leave a child, they have an eighth of the estate after payment of bequests and debts. So someone may ask the question and say, what about if I was married to more than one wife? Is each one of them going to get a quarter, or are they going to share the quarter? Or is each one of them going to get 1/8 if I had a child, or they are going to share the 1/8? So if you have multiple wives, they will either share the quarter or they will share the 1/8, depending on whether you have a child or not. I know it is very technical and it's not easy to remember these things, but I just want to give you an idea. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about وَإِن كَانَ رَجُلٌ يُورَثُ كَلَالَةً أَوْ امْرَأَةٌ وَلَهُ أَخٌ أَوْ أُخْتٌ فَلِكُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا السُّدُسُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if a man or a woman leaves neither ascendants nor descendants. Imagine someone dies. Their ancestors, no one is alive. Their descendants, no one is alive. What's going to happen? That person is called a kalal. That person is someone who has got no ascendants nor descendants. He doesn't have any, neither of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that person, what about if he leaves, for example, a brother or a sister? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, but has left a brother or a sister. Each one of the two has a sixth. But if there are more than two, they share in a third. So this person is your brother from your mother's side, a brother from your mother's side, not a brother who's not like your full brother, or not a brother from your father's side. If you have a brother or a sister from your mother's side, what are they going to get? A sixth, or they're going to get a third if there are more than two of them. They share in a third. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said they will share a third after payment of bequests and debts without prejudice to the rights of the heirs. And this is an instruction Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said from Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, most forbearing. The next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes right now. He said, Tilka hududullah. This is a warning, a severe warning to everybody. Tilka hududullah. These are the limits set by Allah, meaning the laws of inheritance. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, whoever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, what will happen? Allah will admit him to gardens through which rivers flow, to abide therein forever. And that will be the supreme triumph. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, but whoever disobeys Allah, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, and His Messenger, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَهُ, and transgresses His limits, what will happen? Allah will admit him to a fire to abide therein forever. And this will be a humiliating punishment. So as you can see, ayah number 13 and ayah number 14, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us the importance of following the limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we go against the limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what's going to happen? The person is going to be thrown into the hellfire. Tomorrow morning, inshallah ta'ala, what am I going to do? I am going to share with you the mistakes that people make, either deliberately, okay, some of the problems that we have when it comes to the distribution of inheritance. Do you know so many families, they fall out with one another because of the inheritance? So many brothers and sisters, now they don't talk to each other. Why? Because of something that their father or their mother has done before they died. Or what has happened, the disputation that took place after their parents have passed away, and there was so much argument over how they're going to distribute the inheritance among themselves. Even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made everything very clear. Sometimes the parents make things very complicated. Sometimes the children themselves make things very, very complicated. In the beginning, remember last couple of sessions, we've talked about some of the bad practices of the times of Jahiliyyah, the times of ignorance. Before the time of the Prophet ﷺ was what? Girls or women used to be deprived from the inheritance. Can you believe today some Muslim communities, they deprive the woman from her inheritance, even today? Only the men have their share. Only the men take everything. SubhanAllah. And the women are deprived. Okay? And this is a problem. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Tilka hududullah. These are the limits set by Allah. And if anybody goes against these limits which are set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is going to admit him into the fire. So it's very, very serious. And inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, I am going to touch upon some of the mistakes sometimes the parents make before they die. Okay? Or some of the mistakes the families make after the parents pass away and they have left some wealth behind, and what are the things that people should do in terms of distributing their wealth. So sometimes what happens is people delay the distribution of the inheritance, and then the more they delay it, the more complicated things become. Okay, and these are problems that happen. So inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow we will touch upon some of these problems and the severity of making these mistakes, or the severity of falling into these sins, inshallah ta'ala. Because of the earliness of the time that we are praying, I'm going to try and keep the lessons quite short, the Fajr reflections. So inshallah ta'ala, this morning, this is all we are going to say, inshallah ta'ala. But tomorrow, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we're going to touch upon these mistakes that people make and their consequences. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those who follow the limits that's set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.